you. Thanks for letting me know. Yep, I play upright bass. I've been playing upright bass for, let's see, almost 25 years. I've been playing upright bass. Um, Hope you're doing well, cats. I'm just tonight is well, tonight for me is just dedicated to upright bass because I got some gigs coming up where I gotta play some upright, and I just want to make sure that my chops are good. You know, not just like the fast stuff, but just the endurance. So I'm just gonna be playing along, like, just playing some upright. I'm gonna play along to some tunes with the upright as well. And this will actually be the first time doing a live stream where I'm just gonna do upright. So if you got any questions about playing upright bass, or anything to do with upright, even gear and all that, upright bass gear, pop it down in the chat. But it's nice to see you. I'm just just jamming here on. This is my bass called Bertha. This is a Shen SB88. It's not a super expensive instrument, but definitely not on the cheap end either. But it is a really great sounding instrument, and I've had this bass for 11 years now, and it's definitely played in pretty nicely and will continue to do so. So yeah, nice to see you, cats. And yeah, how hard is it to learn from an electric bass perspective? It's it. I wouldn't say it's hard at all. And I know I'm saying that with almost 25 years experience on this thing, but it's just like um, learning any other instrument. Like if you were to get on the um, if you were to get on a piano or something, there's the technique, there is the grounding of it as well. Just turn up my microphone a bit, actually. There we go. I think that's better. This mic stand is hilarious because the threads on the adjuster is like just totally stripped. So like I have to do it like this. Well, actually, is it gonna stay like that? Well, that's kind of cool. Well, maybe if I don't touch it, then it should be all right. So I spoke too soon. Maybe I can get it like that. Let's see. Maybe if I do it yeah. Well, we'll find out. So I think if you're already an electric bassist, there is an advantage there for sure, because obviously there's the bass playing role, right, in an ensemble. So there's that whole thing of you're still being a bassist, but on a different type of bass instrument, right? And yes, I mean the tuning is the same, right? E A D G. The thing that you do have to spend time on is the technique and the tradition of the instrument, right? So getting a sound, but getting a good sound, a decent sound that where when you pluck the strings, you're not over plucking it, because that's the thing, on the upright bass, just because it's a big cumbersome instrument, you really don't need to put a lot into the strings. You don't need to like overplay it. Just like on a bass guitar, if you overdo it, then it's going to actually choke the sound, right? So it's the same thing on the bass, on the upright bass here. So there's the whole thing of like just getting that sound, getting the open strings, and then there's also the technique of this hand as well, and being able to get to understand the different positions on the fingerboard. And then when you get up into thumb position, that's a whole other thing as well. So there is technique and there's tradition on it. If you are wanting to get into upright bass, if you are wanting to learn how to play the upright bass, and you don't have an instrument, or you have necessarily the finances to go and buy an instrument, because that's a whole other thing. The best thing I recommend is to actually rent an instrument. Rent an upright bass. There's and obviously this depends where you are, but from my experience, in a majority of big cities and towns, around the world, you can find a violin, a string shop, like a luthier, Usually it's like a mom and pop kind of place, and um, you can contact them and say, do you have any upright basses and do you rent them out? And that would be the best thing to do. That way you can figure out, is this something that I actually want to play? And also, it's easier to get access to an instrument that way. And generally, when you rent it out from like a violin, like a string shop or something, they take good care of the instruments. You know, they're set up and all that. Some of them even can set them up for, if you want to play for jazz playing, so lower action or whatever. They can do that instead of going out and buying an instrument or just buying the cheapest instrument that you find on eBay or whatever, because generally you're going to get something direct from a factory and it's not set up for playing. They just kind of just put together and that's it. You know what I mean? And that's how, I mean, I did that in my teens as well. I just rented an upright bass, like a long term thing, and it worked out great. You know, when I went to university, got my own bass, um, and yeah, so but you don't have to go and buy an instrument. Um, you can just rent it. That's always a great thing to do. So yeah. Hiva Rhythm is saying upright sounds amazing. We're listening to some great Medeski, Martin, and Wood the other day. Yeah, great band, and obviously that's a band that uses a lot of upright bass. Chris Wood, incredible bassist, and especially using it in a really cool kind of funky backbeat kind of setting as well, which is really fun. But yeah, he's an incredible one. I love Medeski, Martin, and Wood. I love that album, that first album that they did with John Scofield, A Go Go. That's one of my favorite records. You know. So yeah. Music Mike, how you doing? What's it like playing upright? Always wanted to play, but expensive to buy. Upright is amazing. Upright bass is one of the greatest instruments, and they can be expensive if you want to buy one. But you don't have to. Like I mentioned earlier, you might have missed it. You don't have to buy one right away. I'd recommend looking into renting one. That's always a really good go-to option. Rent one from a just like a string instrument shop, like that specializes in violins and cellos. A lot of places like that, they rent out to students and all that. And you can do that with basses as well. So that's something that I would definitely recommend looking into, instead of buying one right off the bat. It's definitely a personal thing, when buying an upright bass, and it's something that you really need to be there to try it out. But I'd recommend that you get some lessons on the upright bass first, and by renting one, gets it so that you can understand how to play the instrument, and then if you do down the line look at buying one, then what to look out for. That's the thing I definitely recommend. Saying I don't think I could handle an upright so big and hardy. Oh, you know what? It really isn't that bad, and you get them in different sizes as well. The one I'm playing here, this is a standard 3/4 size, so this is the most common one that you would get in terms of sizes. There are people that I know who are like way shorter than me, and have smaller hands, and they play the heck out of the bass, out of the upright bass. And so, you don't have to be a big person at all. And, once you understand the technique and, the tradition of the instrument, then it's really not a big deal at all. And you can have the instrument set up to be, low action, easy to play, just like how you might, some of you who like to play with low action on your bass guitars, you can do the same thing on the upright bass. So you can definitely, and that's the way it should be. It should be, not just low action, but it should be easy to play, right? So right now I've got mine kind of medium low. So, it needs to be easy to play. And that means that, just like with a good playing bass guitar, you want to have a professional set it up for you. Make sure, and you don't have to dig in so much too. You don't have to, and you shouldn't have to. And you can still do the things on it that you want to do. And a good setup, a good well set up instrument should be able to just sing when you play the notes. So yeah, how's everyone doing? If you're just joining on, welcome. I'm just doing upright bass today. Well, it's tonight where I am, because I got some gigs coming up where I got to play upright bass, including a trio gig that I'm doing where playing more of acoustic trio. So I'm just getting my chops up. So I'm just gonna be jamming on this thing. I'll play along to some more straight ahead tunes with the upright bass. If you got any questions about playing uprights, pop it down in the chat. Anything I can do to help you with, to answer your questions, that's what I'm here to do. That's what the live stream and Bass with Benjamin is all about. And of course, don't forget to like and subscribe if you already haven't. And down below in the description box are the links to all my bass resources. So make sure you check them out, down below. Let's see what's going on in the chat. And yeah, this bass here in particular does have a pretty nice deep sound of it, which I really like, and it's another reason why I chose this bass, because I really liked the full. It does have not too much brightness into it on it. I'm not into super bright upright bass. I'm definitely more into the darker side of it. That's because that's just the sound that I'm really into. I think it's more of an old school kind of vibe going on. So yeah, Music Mike was telling me I could probably handle an EUB, meaning an electric upright bass. Look, if the thing I would say, if you're gonna learn how to play upright bass, I'd recommend that you learn on the real thing. All right. Just because of the technique and the tradition of holding the instrument and getting used to, producing the sound acoustically, right? An electric upright bass, is not the same thing as this. No matter how good they are or expensive they are, it is not this. So if you're gonna learn, if you want to play this, get on the real thing. And you'll be better off. And then later on you can decide if you want to play an electric upright bass. I'm not really the biggest fan of electric upright basses, just because to me it just feels like, I might as well just play a fretless bass just because of the sound it gets. It will never replace the sound. And how you're hearing this bass right now is literally, you can't see it, but I have a microphone just sitting in the front of it. That's it. It's just a microphone, and so you're just hearing a straight acoustic sound. Now, this is my mic here, so you can't see it, but it's there. And you know what's interesting? I mean, you make a good point. So obviously, as you guys know, I'm mainly a 6-string, bassist. Obviously, you see a 4 and 5 strings in the back here. And when I switch to this instrument, it doesn't even faze me that like I'm playing a 4-string instrument, a 4-string bass, right? It's because when I pick up this instrument, I put on a different hat, right? Because different technique, different kind of approach, different influences, but the whole music making process is still the same. The whole responsibility of, being the bass player, that's the same, but just on a different instrument. So, and I have they do have 5-string upright basses. They do. They're pretty common actually. They're big. And the big sound. I've played one before. It was just too much for me to handle. I definitely like the more traditional thing, just 4-string, and just what I've just how the tradition that I've learned. Is being on this thing, but they do have 5 strings, so. But when I play this, I don't miss, not having that low B or the high C. I'm on this and I'm like, all right, cool, I'm good. And the upright bass, can be used in all kinds of music. It really can. Obviously, we see it a lot in jazz. We see it, playing bluegrass, folk music, obviously classical music, but it's also used in if you look at the Stray Cats, right, which is a whole like rockabilly kind of punk kind of thing, but it uses a different type of style, right, doing the slap style, which I'm absolutely terrible of, but I'm going to do a kind of fake bastardized version of it, and you gotta have the weed whacker strings, which are essentially they're like gut strings, or they're more like nylon strings, and it's all about this percussive kind of thing going on, right? So it's used in that. I've seen it used in in rock music as well. You could use it in just about anything, as long as you can get it amplified in some sort of way. It can be used. It absolutely can. So it's just however you want to use it. I've even played upright bass on an R&B gig as well. A few times, I would be playing this in LA. I was playing these gigs, and they wanted acoustic instruments, but they wanted us to play like Earth, Wind and Fire, Stevie Wonder, Michael Jackson tunes. You know what I mean? And so it's like, okay, yeah, sure, but on upright. And it's a cool challenge, to play like tunes that are for that were on electric bass, but to play it on upright bass. It's actually pretty fun. Definitely a challenge, but doable for sure. And maybe later on I might play some tunes on upright bass that you would typically use on electric bass. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, whenever I'm playing like straight ahead jazz, this is always the go-to, as whenever I can, right? Um, and but sometimes I do only use my electric bass on a straight ahead jazz gig. Just depends on logistically, what's going on. But whenever I can, upright bass, it's just the authentic vibe, the authentic sound. So that's what's going on there. Yeah, there is a certain sound that exactly with acoustic upright, and no matter what people say, when they say, oh, check out my, acoustic bass guitar, it has that like upright tone, and I'm like, no, it doesn't. Maybe it has that 1980s upright bass tone where it's like, uh, pick up a DI and it just sounds like wah, wah, wah. And look, it's that sound definitely has its own vibe for that era. But nothing that I've heard in a bass guitar form has sounded like this, because you got this giant sound box right here, the string length, and also there's just that certain envelope to the sound, in combination with the air of the instrument. There, but I am going to play along to a tune. And yeah, you're right. I do have a soft spot for 1980s, 70s, and 80s upright bass sounds. I mean, it was just something that they were just doing back then, and it was the easiest thing. Just take the DI line from the pickup, and that was it. But it just absolutely took away the acoustic quality of the instrument. That was the thing, and I'm glad in the '90s, especially the young lions, and people like the Marcellus family and all that, and their music, they also they brought back that more traditional sound, especially in jazz, but definitely with the bass. It was definitely that kind of thing, going for that more acoustic kind of sound. So people like Robert Hurst and Rodney Whitaker, John Clayton, Christian McBride, people like that were definitely going in that direction. And nowadays, especially in New York and with a lot of, upright bassists, and the technology that we have available now, we do have better pickups. We have really good microphones for playing live, to where you can to where you only need to use a microphone, depending on what kind of microphone it is, on the bandstand, and there's really good preamps as well. So that's a really cool thing about it. But anyway, I'm gonna find a tune to play. I'm gonna play another blues, because why not? Blues is always good, so I'm gonna play a Miles Davis tune. Perfrancing. I think that's how you say it. I think that's how it is. So anyway, glad you cats can be here to hang out, having an upright bass hang. So hopefully I'm in tune. I think I am. Anyway, I'm gonna play this blues, Miles Davis, Perfrancing. I just keep playing some stuff with the upright, because this is real. This is also just upright practice for me for some gigs coming up. So that's what I'm doing. But I'm glad you guys can hang out. Perfrancing. See what else to play. Play a few more tunes and then I might have to call it a night. It's kind of getting late for me, but I appreciate you all hanging out. Sasha, what's up, man? Yeah, look at that. Finally on the upright. Hey, and I got your email, man. I still gotta get back to you. It's been hella busy where I am, man. But just know that I got you, man. All right, and I'm gonna reply real soon. All right, so no worries. Let's see what else I can play here. I'm gonna play a Robert Glasper tune, actually. This is from his first record, I believe, called Mood. I really like this tune. I mean, this came out over 20 years ago, but this is a really great track. This is the title track of it. It's called Mood. It's in 5, and it has Mike Moreno on guitar. It's Damian Reed on drums. John Ellis on saxophone. Robert Hurst was originally playing bass on this. And of course, Robert on piano. So I'm going to play this. Man, that's a great one. Especially, yeah. yeah, how it like goes into it definitely has that that real nice like exactly straight eights, kind of broken, kind of like real stretching across the bar line kind of thing. Um, you know, and that's such a great tune. I mean, it's definitely that New York kind of vibe, and those guys play it so um, so well. Thank you, Cats. I'm gonna keep playing. I'm gonna play a Branford Marsalis tune actually. And this one, talk about playing, you know, uh, some broken kind of stuff. This one probably is a little more tighter actually. And this one has all kinds of twists and turns to it, which I really like. But it's a really great one to just play. Yeah, this one's In the Crease. This one is at least 25 years old, actually. Jeff Tain Watts on drums. The original bassist, Eric Rivas, on this recording. Joey Calderazzo on bass. That's right, piano. Of course, Branford. But that last tune I played, yeah. So thank you, Cats, and welcome. Glad you could, join on here. I'm just shedding some upright bass because I got some upright bass gigs coming up. So this is an upright bass hang that we're doing here, which is really cool. I've always kind of just done electric bass, but this is also just I cover both basses, and just kind of getting myself back into shape on upright bass as well. And it's cool that I have some gigs coming up on it, and just to keep doing that as well. I did change the strings on my bass the other day, um, because I wanted to kind of just try something different. So for the longest time, I've been using Pirastro Evaporazzi strings, and they are a synthetic gut core wrapped in steel. Um, and incredible strings, definitely some of my favorite strings. I love the sound. My ones are just really old, so they've definitely they're pretty worn out. So I did have some Spiracores, two sets of Spiracore strings made by Tomastic, lying around. I had probably only tried them once, like a few years ago, because I was like, oh, let me check out the Spiracores, and at the time I really wasn't into it so much. But I put them on the other day, and because I have two sets of string, I have the ones that are called the Vike gauge, which is really light, and then I have the Mittel, which is a medium kind of tension gauge string. So I tried just putting I tried putting just the middle G and D, so the medium ones, and then for the E and A, I've got the Vike, so the more lighter tension ones, and I like how the E and A sound, and the D, but the G, no, I tried that out, and then I tried the, what am I saying? Yeah, so middles on the D and G, Vike on the E and A, and I was like, oh, I kind of need that D string, the D and G to kind of match. So I put everything as just a light gauge, the Vike, but the G was just too thin and didn't have enough kind of power behind it. And so today I put on the middle G, the medium one, and everything else is the lighter one, and it actually is a really good combination. It feels really good. So, and I'm really enjoying the feel and the sound of it right now. So I'm gonna stick with this for a while. It seems to work, and I'm really enjoying it. So we'll see how it goes. But definitely for my gigs coming up, I'm gonna use this combination for what's happening. Let me just see in the comments here. I've got all kinds of screens open. Yeah. So yeah. Let me catch up here. So the program I'm using to remove the bass, I'm using Moises. All right. And I've talked about this before. As far as like AI goes, this is the extent of what I'll use it for. I'm not into like the generative kind of thing, and especially what we're seeing, with going on with it, how it's affecting artists and all that. But in terms of using it as a practice tool right here for this purpose, where I can take out the original bass and I can play along, and use it as a great practice tool to where in a way, you kind of, it's like you're in the recording session, that you're playing in the band, and you've got to blend in, and it's really good for, you got to keep up that same type of integrity, and to make the tune feel as good as the original did, but this gives you a chance to be able to, hear yourself mixed in with the other instruments. And that's what I really like about it. Because, growing up, the thing that we did, when we were playing along to favorite, albums and all that, some of us, we had the ability on, stereos and all that, some of them had like an EQ control. We would cut all the low end on it, right? But you could still hear the bass part that was going on. But it also meant that when you cut the low end on the EQ, it would reduce like the bass drum and things like that. But on this, it doesn't affect that. It literally just, mutes the bass. Of course, it's not 100% perfect. If the bass is playing up high on some things, or if there is a bass solo, it won't, there'll be some things that cut through. So sometimes you have to kind of play around with the different isolation tracks that it has. Sometimes a bass solo might get thrown into like the guitar track. So you have to kind of just do things like that. But in terms of what I'm playing along, this is what it is. This is what I love to use. It's a lot of fun, and it's just great practice. It really is. You can use, from what I understand, you can use Logic Pro if you have a Mac with the silicon, the M chip in it. I haven't used that as yet because obviously I've just been using Moises to do it. But it's a great tool. It's a great tool to do. It's just stem splitting. And so the tune before that was called Mood. All right, that's right, Robert Glasper, and it's probably my favorite Robert Glasper album. It's literally called Mood. It's more of an acoustic jazz record. This is like his first record that he did. It's got that that real deep New York jazz kind of sound to it, and vibe in terms of like the playing. Incredible players, and Robert is an absolute like beast. If you really want to hear him as a jazz player, that for me, that is the record to listen to, where you can really hear him do that, especially playing jazz, playing up-tempo swing and all that. I mean, he absolutely tears it up. He really does. Beautiful playing. And it was the first record that I ever heard Robert Glasper. So it was definitely a great, one for me, to where I got into it. And thank you, Cats, yes, and this is a very interesting string setup indeed, Sasha. That's the thing with upright bassists, is that there'll always be interesting string setups going on. There are some cats who use gut strings exclusively on the G and D. They might use maybe just a gut string just on the G. People like Larry Grenadier does that, Matt Penman, Ben Street. Russell Hall is another cat who uses, he'll use gut strings as well. Someone who's more on the steel string side of things, Christian McBride, Dave Holland, Stanley Clark. Definitely, cats who have that kind of, a little more, bright-ish sound. John Patitucci, he uses a hybrid, like a synthetic gut core set of strings. He'll use a mixture of them. So for the G and D, he'll use more of that synthetic gut strings. I think maybe the either the Pirastro Eudoxa or Olive strings, which they're super expensive. But they sound great. For the longest time, he was using steel strings. He was using spiracores, and which is probably the most common string that you could find that you'll come across, on upright bass. My thing with using spiracores, and the reason I hadn't been using spiracores is because the G and the D just were too thin for me, and I'm not talking about like in terms of the sound, just like the actual feel. It was just a little too much. And when I was a little younger, I used to play with much higher action on the upright, and because I was playing it more and doing a load of gigs on upright and electric, so I did play with higher action on my upright, and exactly, Sasha, there were times where I had to use the bow, and spiracores were just very scratchy, and so when I would use the Pirastro Evaparazzis, they worked out really well with the bow. Not that I'm the greatest arco player, but whenever I would need to use it, I wanted to make sure that it was covered, So anyway, I'm going to play some more music. Just going to plug in my little camera here. Oops. Sorry, knocked the microphone. Hopefully it didn't blow out your ears, of those of you wearing headphones. Alright, I'm going to play this tune. Is In the Crease by Branford Marsalis. This is a fun one. It's got some twists and turns, so we'll see how we go. That's a difficult tune. Twists and turns. But such a fun, like, written out, like, bass line, like counter bass line to the melody. You know, so yeah, folks, I'm gonna have to call it a night. I'm about ready to go to bed. But this was fun. Thank you so much, Cass, for hanging out with me. I really appreciate it. It was nice to just play some upright bass and just, keep it up. So, doing a bit of upright bass every single day. And I'm just gonna keep doing that as well. I need to get back on form with the upright bass. And just like with the electric bass as well, especially with upright bass gigs coming in and all that, and leading my own gigs on upright bass. So I want to make sure that I'm feeling good on it. But Cats, thank you so much. Gil, what's up? Nice to see you. I'm about to sign off here, but obviously you can watch what we were just doing, and it was just upright bass tonight, which is really nice. But anyway, Cats, thank you so much. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Description box down below has all my Bass with Benjamin resources, so make sure you check that out. Anything I can do to help you with your bass journey, please feel free to reach out to me. You can do so at my website. But thank you again, everyone. Wherever you are, take care. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your morning, day, evening, whatever you're doing. Have a great week. I'll be back later in the week for that live stream. And we'll see. I don't know, maybe we'll do some upright bass as well. But I'll definitely have the bass guitars going for that. But anyway, folks, you all take care. Have a great one, and I will see you all very soon. Thank you again. Totally screwed that up. All right, folks. See you next time.